Do you ever wonder what it takes to truly understand and respect the women in your life? In today's video, we're diving deep into the timeless teachings of Miyamoto Musashi to uncover the 6 crucial things men should never do with women. These powerful insights will not only transform your relationships, but also help you become a man of honor and integrity. Step 1. Do not neglect communication. Talking to each other is an important part of any friendship. It's what holds 2 people together and lets them know what the other person is thinking, feeling, and planning. Not talking to each other is like letting this bridge fall apart, leaving a hole that can cause confusion, anger, and eventually the end of the relationship. Miyamoto Musashi thought that clear and straight speech was very important. Musashi wrote the famous Book of 5 Rings, in which he talks about how important it is to understand and be clear in fight, writing that a fighter should always know what's going on around them, who they are fighting, and how they feel. He said that this knowledge is what makes it possible for a warrior to make strong moves. When it comes to relationships, this idea means that you need to talk to your partner all the time. Men leave gaps in conversation with women that give doubt and insecurity a chance to grow. It's possible for a woman to start to feel distant and not sure where she stands in the relationship. This can make her lose trust because she might start to wonder if her partner is really feeling that way. A man should keep his lines of communication open and honest, just like a fighter should keep their sword sharp and ready. Musashi also taught how important it is to be on time. A split-second choice can mean the difference between winning and losing in battle. In the same way, it's important to know when to talk and when to listen in interactions. A man needs to understand his partner's feelings and needs so he knows when she wants to talk and when she just wants to listen. This awareness of timing shows care and a deep understanding of what the other person is going through. Musashi's rule of no distraction is true here. He thought a fighter should be in the present moment and not let anything else get in the way of his judgment. Giving a woman your full attention when she talks is what this means in words of conversation. With all the distractions around us, like phones and social media, giving her your full attention is a strong way to show that you value what she has to say and being with her. Talking isn't enough to communicate. You need to bond too. If a guy doesn't talk to his partner, he could lose this connection, which could lead to misunderstandings and make the relationship weaker. A man can keep the lines of communication open and strong with the woman in his life by following Musashi's advice on clarity, time, and presence. This will help build trust and understanding. Step 2. Do not disrespect boundaries. Setting and sticking to limits is an important part of any good relationship. Boundaries are the lines we can't see that demarcate the edges of our mental and physical space. It builds trust and a sense of safety when these limits are followed. When they are ignored, on the other hand, it can make them feel violated, uncomfortable, or even scared. In terms of tactics in battle, Miyamoto Musashi knew how important boundaries were. As a fighter, he thought, you should know both your own and your opponent's weakness. With this information, the fighter can move through the battlefield with precision, avoiding fights that aren't necessary and putting his energy where it works best. When it comes to relationships, this principle can help you understand and accept other people's boundaries. When a man crosses a woman's boundaries, whether on purpose or by accident, he doesn't value her freedom and right to choose her own personal space. Invading her space without permission, pushing her to share personal information before she is ready, or making her do things she doesn't want to do are some of the ways this can show up. Our lessons from Musashi tell us that real strength doesn't come from force or coercion, but from self-control and respect. Musashi also taught that it was important to know the terrain. When fighting, a warrior who knows the area well has a big edge over his opponent. Similarly, it's important to know and respect a woman's limits in a relationship in order to keep the connection healthy and peaceful. To do this, you need to listen carefully, understand, and be ready to accept and respect her boundaries. The idea of no attachment from Musashi can be used here. He thought that a warrior shouldn't be too attached to a certain result or desire, because that could cloud their judgment and make them make bad choices. When it comes to relationships, this means that a man shouldn't want to control or change a woman's limits to meet his own needs or wants. He should instead accept her limits as they are, understanding that they are an important part of who she is and her health. When you respect limits, you also have to admit when they've been crossed and take responsibility for it. If a man sees that he has crossed a woman's boundaries, either with words or actions, he should own up to it and make things right. This shows that you are mature and respectful, which are traits that Musashi would have liked in a warrior. So, respecting limits means recognizing the other person's right to be alone and their worth. A man can make sure he respects a woman's limits by following Musashi's teachings on non-attachment, restraint, and understanding. This will build a relationship based on trust, safety, and mutual respect. Step 3. Do not dismiss their feelings. One of the worst things a guy can do in a relationship is to brush off a woman's feelings. Having feelings is what makes us human. They're what link us to each other and to ourselves. It sends a message that a woman's feelings are not real or important when they are ignored, which can make her feel very alone and hurt. The teachings of Miyamoto Musashi stress how important it is to understand and accept life as it is. When used in battle, this means being fully aware of what is going on, without denying or ignoring anything. In partnerships, this idea can be used to show that you understand how a woman feels. And just like a fighter can't ignore an enemy, a man who cares about a woman shouldn't ignore or dismiss her feelings. Feelings are real even if they don't make sense or are easy to understand all the time. Musashi thought it was important to face truth straight on, even if it made you feel bad. This means understanding and validating other people's feelings, even if they are hard to understand. If you brush off a woman's feelings, even if they seem silly or unpleasant, it's a form of denial that can cause more problems and a loss of connection. Musashi also showed how important it is to be able to change. Warriors need to be able to adapt to changing conditions while they are in fight. In the same way, a man must be ready to change to meet his partner's emotional needs. To do this, he needs to understand her feelings, be patient, and be ready to put aside his own point of view and see things from hers. The idea of no preference from Musashi can be used here. His view was that a fighter shouldn't be tied to a certain plan or result, but should be willing to use whatever method works best at the time. In relationships, this means a man shouldn't be set on the idea that the only right way to think or feel is his own. He should instead be open to his partner's feelings and experiences, and know that they are just as real and important as his own. When a woman's feelings are ignored, it can make it hard for her to talk to her partner and trust her. Because of her feelings, she might start to think that she is being weighed down, or that no one is hearing or understanding her. This could hurt the relationship because she might start to shut down or remove her feelings, leaving you feeling alone and isolated. So, ignoring a woman's feelings is a form of mental neglect that can hurt the relationship in a big way. By following Musashi's advice on being realistic, flexible, and open, a man can make sure that he understands and supports the feelings of the woman in his life. This will help them feel closer and more respectful of each other. Step 4. Do not play mind games. Playing mind games with someone in a relationship is a form of manipulation that can be very bad for both people. Mind games are ways to trick, control, or take advantage of someone else, usually to get power or an edge in a relationship. This kind of behavior is not only dishonest, but also very rude, because it breaks down the trust and openness that are needed for a healthy relationship. Miyamoto Musashi was a great tactician, but he also thought that honor and honesty were very important in battle. His lessons taught me that a real warrior doesn't use lies or tricks to win, but rather skill, focus, and a good grasp of the situation. This idea can be used to show how important it is to be honest and open in relationships. This is not the same as playing mind games, which involve making people confused and unsure in order to gain power. Mind games can be many things, like sending mixed messages, being hard to get, or playing with someone's emotions to get them to do something. These tricks are often used to throw off the other person and make them more reliant on the manipulator for approval and support. But this kind of behavior is counterproductive because it destroys trust and makes people feel unsafe and suspicious. Musashi's lessons stress how important it is to be clear and direct in everything you do and think. He thought that a fighter should always try to keep their mind clear and focused, free from lies and other things that could distract them. When it comes to relationships, this means being open and honest about your feelings and plans instead of manipulating others to get what you want. Musashi taught people to have no fear. Fear, he thought, gets in the way of clear thinking and good behavior. People who play mind games in relationships often do so out of fear, like fear of being open and vulnerable, fear of being rejected, or fear of losing power. A man can have a deeper, more important relationship with the woman in his life if he can get over these fears and be honest and open with her. Another thing that can happen in a relationship is that one person takes all the control, leaving the other person feeling confused and helpless. This isn't the way to build a healthy or respectful friendship. Musashi thought that everything should be balanced and harmonious, even partnerships. A man can make a relationship more balanced and peaceful by treating the other person as an equal and valuing their right to be alone. That's why mind games are a form of trickery that is not only rude but also bad for the relationship. Men can avoid these bad habits and build relationships based on trust, respect, and mutual understanding by following Musashi's advice to be honest, clear, and bold. Step 5. Do not compare them to others. It is unhealthy to compare a woman to other people, whether it's an ex-partner, a friend, or someone else. This behavior can have bad effects on the relationship. Women feel less valuable and unique when they compare themselves to others. They think that no one likes them for who they are. In addition, it makes people feel competitive and unsafe, which can cause anger and conflict. Miyamoto Musashi showed people how important it is to be unique and rely on themselves. He thought that a real fighter shouldn't try to be like other warriors, but should instead come up with his own style and way of doing things. When it comes to relationships, this theory can be used to show how important it is to value and appreciate what makes the other person special. It's rude to compare her to other people because it makes her feel like she's not good enough the way she is. Men who compare a woman to other women are basically saying that she doesn't meet some outside standard. This could really hurt her self-esteem and make her feel like she's not good enough or safe. Musashi thought that self-mastery and inner strength were very important. But comparing yourself to others all the time can weaken these traits. Musashi taught people to have no attachment. He thought that a warrior should not be attached to a certain result or wish. Instead, he said, a warrior should stay focused on the job at hand and the present moment. In relationships, this means that a man shouldn't be stuck on finding the perfect partner based on what society thinks is perfect or what he has experienced in the past. He should not compare the person he is with to other people, but instead value and admire her for who she is. Comparison also makes people feel like they have to compete with each other because the woman thinks she has to always meet some outside standard to please her partner. This isn't the way to build a healthy or respectful friendship. Musashi thought that balance and unity were very important, but comparison and competition hurt these things. Musashi's lessons on how to focus and concentrate are also useful here. He felt that a warrior should not think about the past or the future, but should only be about the present. When it comes to relationships, this means giving your full attention to the person you're with and not letting other things affect how you see or judge them. So, comparing a woman to other women is rude and can hurt the relationship in a big way. A man can stop this bad behavior and build a relationship built on respecting and appreciating each other's differences by following Musashi's teachings on individuality, non-attachment, and focus. Step 6. Do not take them for granted. One of the most common and bad things that people do in relationships is to take someone for granted. It happens when someone thinks the other person will always be there for them, no matter what. Taking someone for granted can slowly hurt the relationship because the person being taken for granted may start to feel underappreciated, undervalued, and ignored. Miyamoto Musashi thought that being thankful and aware were important in every part of life. He told them that no matter what, whether it was a peaceful moment or a win in battle, they should never take it for granted. This idea can be used to show how important it is to value and appreciate the other person in a relationship instead of taking them for granted. Men who take a woman for granted are basically telling her that she is not important, that her presence, her efforts, and what she brings to the relationship are not important. Because the woman may start to think that her partner doesn't really see or value her, she may start to feel angry and disconnected. Musashi thought that a warrior should always be aware of what was going on around him and the people he was with, knowing that every moment and every person was important. Musashi showed people how important it is to be disciplined and consistent. He thought a fighter should never be satisfied with his job. Instead, he should always try to get better and take pride in it. In relationships, this means always thanking the other person and trying to keep the link strong, instead of getting comfortable and forgetting about them. One more thing that can happen in a relationship is that one person stops trying to improve it. Men may stop trying to keep the relationship going when they think their partner will always be there for them. This can cause the quality of the bond to slowly get worse over time. Musashi thought that persistence and devotion were very important. These are traits that are needed to keep a relationship strong and healthy. Musashi taught us about being present and aware, which is useful in this situation. He thought that a fighter should be fully present in every moment and know how important and valuable everything around him is. It means being fully present with the person you're with and enjoying their presence and the work they put in, instead of taking them for granted. Ultimately, neglecting someone by taking them for granted is a bad thing that can happen in a relationship. By following Musashi's advice on being grateful, being disciplined, and being mindful, a man can stop acting in this way and build a relationship built on respect, appreciation, and loyalty.